Hey folks, Katzbe here. So today I am in front of you in a sweatshirt, no makeup. It's like 9 p.m. because this is a special quarantine version of Katzbe Fights Depression. Today we're going to talk about if Animal Crossing, the video game from Nintendo, is good for your mental health. So stay tuned to find out. First things first, some of you might be wondering, what is Animal Crossing? Even if you've heard of it, you might not know. And it is a new video game from Nintendo, new because one was just released for the Nintendo Switch, which is their newest console, but Animal Crossing has actually been around since 2001, when it was originally released on the Nintendo GameCube. The game takes place in real time. That means that 1 hour in the world of Animal Crossing is the equivalent of 1 hour in the real world. And similarly, if you stop playing Animal Crossing and come back 8 hours later, the players and the world in that game recognize that you've been gone for 8 hours. The interesting thing about Animal Crossing is that there's not really a plot. What happens is that you, in this most recent version, go into a deserted island with a small group of villagers, and you're tasked with building this kind of non-existent island into a thriving community. And you do that through trying to get people to move there, through building buildings and setting up a museum, visiting other islands and asking people to come to yours, different things like that. And the way that you earn money for all of these different developments is through pretty generally relaxing activities like catching and selling fish, catching and selling bugs, collecting seashells from the shore and selling those, collecting wood by chopping trees and then crafting that into different items and selling those, and harvesting fruit from the trees on the island and selling those. So really pretty joyful and generally relaxing activities. The cool thing is that in this most recent release of Animal Crossing, you can also visit your friends' islands. And I'm talking about your real-life friends, so if they also have a Nintendo Switch with Animal Crossing on it, you can open it up such that you can visit each other's islands and get to spend time with each other in that way through the game. And that last mechanism is what got me thinking about this question of Animal Crossing and mental health. In a time where we physically are separated in lots of cases from people that we really care about, I wondered if Animal Crossing was in some ways filling that gap, where it brings that almost physical connection through a digital world where you're traveling to somebody else's location, you can go into their house and hang out with them with your little avatars next to each other. So I wondered if maybe that was fulfilling some need that we as a society are not getting right now while we're in social distancing. And I wondered that also because I saw how much Animal Crossing was just blowing up and becoming this cultural phenomenon that I don't even think the previous games had gotten to. But seeing how much everybody was talking about them online, how many of my friends had the system, how many of my friends were talking about Animal Crossing. So it just became this really big thing. And I just wondered if that was tied to the current events that are happening, that this was just maybe a really opportune moment for Nintendo. So I did some digging. And it turns out that yes, Animal Crossing is good for your mental health. But I'm not just saying this as a few people have said like, oh, this has been really beneficial to me, but actually really reputable publications like the NYTimes and CNN have done features about why Animal Crossing was so opportune for the current time period that we're in, and also how it's good for your mental health according to experts. So this is backed by a couple of powerhouse places. One reason for that is that it is supplementing the physical connection that we're all missing out on right now. In one heartwarming story, a couple even had their wedding over Animal Crossing when they had to cancel the one they had planned for real life. But replacing or supplementing that physical connection isn't the only reason why Animal Crossing is good for your mental health. In addition to that supplementing of physical relationships, Animal Crossing also provides a sense of escapism, according to experts. So when we're in this physical world, this real world, that's pretty troubled right now with disease, with frustration, with needing to stay in our homes, Animal Crossing provides a place that we can escape to get away from that world for a while, just an alternate reality. And that escapism for some period of time can be helpful for your mental health, to give you a break from everything that's going on in the world. In my previous video where I talked about mental health and coronavirus, one of the things that experts talked about was taking a break from news as a way to help yourself during this difficult time. And Animal Crossing provides this kind of isolated escape that's perfect for that kind of thing. So in that way, it is super beneficial for your mental health. Another reason is that the gameplay of Animal Crossing actually resembles mindfulness, according to experts. So when we think of mindfulness, one of the kind of classic things that they talk about is coming back to the breath. And the way that the experts in the articles I read about described it is that the breath is something constant that's always there that we can always go back to. And that's kind of the reason that it's one of those quintessential examples that we turn to for mindfulness. But it isn't tied to the breath specifically. What the breath provides for us is something that you can focus on. Focus on being in the present, on what's going on, what you're feeling. And Animal Crossing provides that same thing where you can zone in and focus on exactly what you're doing. Whether that's developing your town, catching a fish, decorating, it gives you that thing that you can just push everything else away and focus on for a bit. And in that way resembles the mindfulness even that we do with breathing exercises and other forms of mindfulness. And what's really great about Animal Crossing is that it's this almost exclusively positive environment. Really, the worst thing that can happen to you is that you get stung by a wasp or bitten by a tarantula and you can faint. But really, nothing changes except that you wake up back in your home. Other than that, it's almost exclusively positive. You catch bugs, you catch fish, you sell things. Even the loan that you get for your house is 0 interest and you can pay back at your own rate. The characters that are present in the game as well are all really positive. They're very approachable, they're always happy to see you, or almost always happy to see you. And it's just about building those really positive connections, so it's kind of this oasis of positivity in a world that's inundated with negativity at the moment. And that's a really powerful thing, to have that exclusively positive environment. Some other things is that it's kind of timeless. It's not like normal games where there is a point or a plot and at the end you're kind of left with nothing to do. This one is just completely at your own leisure. And that is also something that helps augment that escapism and the mindfulness that's part of it. It's just kind of hanging in time. And adding on to that positivity in the game, there is no sickness and there's no death. So those things that are all around us in the news right now are not present in the game. So again, just a really great way to have a break from all of that really negative stuff that can be filling your thoughts right now. The next thing that the experts talked about is that it lets us simulate the life that we've lost. The majority of Animal Crossing is played outdoors, and for most of us the outdoors are inaccessible right now. The things that people would like to be doing but can't are often available in the game. So if you enjoy going fishing, that's available in the game, like I've talked about, collecting bugs, going to the beach, picking up seashells, traveling. There's a little airplane in the game that you can go on. All that stuff is provided for in this simulated and very safe environment, and it can kind of give us that feeling that we're missing right now as we're not able to travel, not able to spend time outdoors. The other great thing about the game is that it gives us connections with the players in the game and also an alternate way to connect for the people that we know in real life. In the game, for example, you have a mailbox, and my friends and I send each other letters all the time and attach gifts to them. And it's actually, for me, it feels just as meaningful to open one of those letters in the game saying, I was thinking of you, here's a piece of furniture I made, or here's something I bought that I wanted you to have. It's surprisingly meaningful considering that it's in a video game. And similarly, when you have these interactions and you build relationships with your neighbors and your villagers in the game, they also go out of their way when they're thinking of you, when they want to talk to you. They'll send you letters, they'll run up to you when they see you, they're very excited to see you, and they always have something to say or do or give. So it's just really positive. It's someplace that you can go and always know that you'll have this feeling of people wanting to spend time with you, being excited to see you. So it just gives this really great interaction. And again, just lets us have this different form of socializing that's really not available to us right now, and kind of fills a little bit of that gap that we're all feeling. So according to the experts, for all these reasons, the escapism, the nostalgia, the positivity, the mindfulness that it provides, and the replacement or supplementing of different relationships that are not available to us physically right now, Animal Crossing has proven to actually be very beneficial for your mental health. And especially because the world is kind of suspended in this game, people have talked about feeling less anxious while they're playing Animal Crossing. It really just serves as a safe haven of positivity in a time where we don't have very much of that. The only thing I do want to say related to mental physical health with the game is that I am playing on a Switch Lite, which is kind of the smaller handheld exclusive version of the Switch, and it does not have a blue light filter. So for like the first week where I was playing, I was just staring at the screen after work each day, I noticed that I was having trouble going to sleep. And it's because every other device that I use, I restrict blue light after certain hours, and since this one didn't have it, it really was messing with my sleep patterns. I ended up getting a pair of blue light glasses so that I could sleep after playing Animal Crossing. So do be careful, because sleep is such a critical element to good mental health, and good sleep habits and hygiene are super important for making sure that you're getting rested. So be careful of that one thing. I don't believe there's a built-in blue light filter into the Switch, so do consider that if you're thinking of getting one. Speaking of which, getting a Switch at the moment is pretty difficult, especially the regular Switch, and even more especially the Animal Crossing version of the Switch. When I was looking for a Switch a bit ago, the only thing that I could find was the Switch Lite, which I am very happy with, but I think that in itself, the fact that it is so hard to get one right now, does speak to the popularity of people relying on this in a time where we are inside a lot and love to have a way to spend time outside, spend time with our friends. The other thing the experts talked about is that for millennials especially, Animal Crossing lets us simulate achievable goals that are often not achievable in real life. So the first one that they talk about is home ownership, where that's one of the things that has been tremendously difficult for millennials in particular. That home ownership just seems out of reach for most of us. And in the game, that's one of the first goals that you have is to move from your tent to a home, and it is realistic to pay off your home. Something that's not so realistic for most of us in real life right now. And so in that way, being able to create goals and achieve those goals, especially goals that mirror ones that we have in real life, that can also provide this sense of release and accomplishment through the game. Adding on to the positivity I've discussed, the whole aesthetic and spirit of the game is just super adorable and wholesome. The characters, the little avatars that you have are just incredibly adorable, and the music that goes on is very relaxing and light throughout. The evidence for Nintendo Switch kind of speaks for itself with the popularity of this game. The NYTimes reports that this has become easily the best-selling game on the platform in Britain and Japan at the time of writing. They didn't have figures for the United States. And also that it has become the #1 most talked about game in the world. So these are incredible milestones, and I think it really just speaks to what need this is filling in the times that we're in. So yes, surprisingly, and I was shocked to find this out myself, Animal Crossing is good for your mental health. It's great for socialization. It's great for a sense of positivity, mindfulness, escapism, all that stuff that can give us a break from the world we're in at the moment. So if you're on the fence about getting one, I'd suggest it's something to look into for sure. If you're looking for things to fill your time while you're at home and you're looking for something that is positive. It's also great for both children and adults. So really just kind of this all-around wholesome great way to spend time with other people and in a world that's a little bit more positive than the one that we're living in right now. Thank you for watching. I post a new video every month, so please subscribe to keep up to date with all the content that I'll be publishing about mental health.